Bring in Democratic strategist Zach Friend and the former NRCC Communications Director Matt Gorman to talk about these issues intertwined now. Gentlemen, welcome to you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I want to revisit what the president said again in that tweet that Rich had. He said right now there's a full-scale manhunt going on in California for an illegal immigrant accused of shooting and killing a police officer during a traffic stop. Time to get tough on border security, build the wall. Matt, there are those who say when the left does this after a mass shooting that you shouldn't play politics with something that happens so quickly and when it's really still playing out. What's your take?
Well, first of all, this crime is horrific, and whoever committed it needs to be caught and brought to justice, number one. But as you said, reframing it a little bit and pulling back in terms of the political aspect of this, as the president tweeted, I think this is going to really show what's at stake, however, during the shutdown. The shutdown is about border security. It's about legal versus illegal immigration. And from the start, the president's been very consistent about how he's for legal immigration, just like this police officer, and how he's against legal immigration. So I think what this shutdown's all about plays in very clearly and shows what's at stake when crimes like this happen.
I mean, it really is a case that illustrates the two sides of the issue in a horrific, tragic way. But it certainly sparks, again, the national conversation about this as we're sitting here watching a partial government shutdown. I want to show something else that came in. This is from Governor Brown out there in California, issuing a statement saying, on behalf of all Californians, Ann and I extend our condolences to Corporal Singh's wife, young son, loved ones, and colleagues. Our hearts are with the entire community of Newman and law enforcement officers across the state who risk their lives every day to protect and serve the people of California. Zach, critics are going to say this is the very same governor who signed a huge package full of things naming the state a sanctuary state and making it actually tougher for law enforcement to crack down on people who are in the state illegally.
Yeah, I mean, I know that one thing that always happens after all these events, as Matt noted, is that they really do become politicized, and I think that that's unfortunate. I mean, I worked at a law enforcement agency. Two of my friends were murdered in the line of duty, and I guarantee you, immediately after that happened, there were discussions about Second Amendment questions, about mental health issues of the suspect, and none of us cared about it. The family didn't care about it. Those of us that worked at the law enforcement agency didn't care about it. This really is the time the discussion should be, and I would like to think that both parties would be doing this. They should be reaching out to the family, recognizing this is a long-term trajectory shift for not just that family, but for that law enforcement agency in a really, really challenging situation. I mean, my heart goes out to them, and I just hope that all elected leaders and political leaders take the politics out of this for some time and really do wrap their arms around this family and that community to really show their support.
Yeah, we are checking in moment by moment for any update as authorities think they do have at least some geographic boundaries on where they think that this suspect is and are confident they will close in on that individual. You saw the picture there. It's very clear for anybody who has information, easily recognizable if you happen to know that person. Meantime, this is all playing out against the backdrop of the shutdown as the president is here in town, the White House saying, hey, he decided to stay here and try to work on this. Democrats didn't. They left town. They went home. Democrats saying we put some things on the table. He wouldn't take them days ago. And so there was no reason for us to come back and negotiate because they're taking over in the House a week from today. So it's going to be a different ball game. You heard Congressman Meadows there, one of the more conservative Republicans on the Hill. He said today he feels like the needle actually moved away in the direction of a longer shutdown. Matt, probably not more than a week, but then once the House passes something, House Democrats, if they do indeed fund something, not including anything for the border wall for the president, does it get through the Senate? And what does the president do with it when it gets to his desk?
I think the only thing that matters right now is what Leader Schumer and President Trump can actually agree to. It needs Democratic votes to actually become law. And right now, as both Rich mentioned and Congressman Meadows, neither side has an incentive to end this shutdown right now. I think what you've seen in the last week or two really is the start of President Trump's re-election campaign. As Rich noted in the tweet, border security 2020 is going to be an issue, and the president is at his best when he has an enemy, just like he had in Hillary Clinton in 2016. He now has in Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi. They'll be the enemy until a Democratic frontrunner emerges out of the primaries. It's something that he is at best at when he has an antagonist. It'll wake up his base and show a very, very clear contrast of what's at stake in 2020.
Well, and Congressman McGovern, a Democrat, was on the Hill today trying to reopen the conversation. He said on the House floor he didn't have much company. That was not moving forward. But here's what he also said about the fact that he thought they had a deal. At least he says they did until the president got involved.
We ought to work at it until we get to an agreement where a majority say yes. And I think we had that until the president, went off his meds, and who the hell knows what happened.
Zach, you know, as Matt said, the president loves having someone to joust with, and words like that are most certainly to get a reaction from him, I would suppose.
Yeah, I don't think that that's actually really helpful to the conversation. I mean, look, the Senate voted 100 to 0 on a compromise package, so we know what the Democrats would support. I actually really do believe that the only people who care about the blame game are people that are actually in Washington. Across the country, people are wondering whether this week's paycheck are going to pay next week's bill, and there's 800,000 federal workers right now and their families, which means that there's literally millions of people right now that don't have any money coming in. And I think that as this continues to play out, it isn't good for either party. I think it's disproportionately bad for the president. He took ownership of this early on. But I think somebody's waiting for an adult in the room. Somebody's waiting for some leadership to just step up, take the politics out of it, and just simply say, let's come to a compromise. I mean, there's a lot of people right now that don't have any money coming in. There's a lot of people not sure how they're going to make their mortgage payment in the coming weeks. And so we really got to make sure that somebody steps up and a compromise is reached.
And just to keep this factually clear, what has been explained to us is that current paychecks are going to go out. But if this doesn't wrap up within the next few days, then down the line, another week or two or more, we could be talking about issues. Eventually, those employees being paid back. But of course, a delay when you're living paycheck to paycheck is everything if you're trying to get this thing solved. Right. OK, so they gavelled in for like minutes today and nothing happened. We'll see. They're going to try again January 2nd. Democrats take over the following day in the House, so we won't expect a whole lot of movement between now and then. It doesn't seem like from either side. In the meantime, Zach and Matt, thank you. Great to see you both.
Thank you.
My pleasure.